Welcome to the Amy McManus Show on AM 1480 WLEA. Once again, you can listen to us on the internet, WLEA.net. We're also live here on Saturday mornings, so if anybody wants to call up with a question or a comment, feel free. Beautiful morning, 50 degrees, feels a lot warmer in the sun. Here in New York State, as many of you heard, Brian O'Neill, you heard about this whole Espada thing. You're up to date on that, right?
You're talking about State Senate Majority Leader Pedro Espada?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's really interesting about this story is they're making all this, making a big deal about the fact that he perhaps made some money illegally. But you know what really amazes me is no one seems to be concerned with the fact that he even is the president and CEO of this gigantic county hospital that receives county funds. And this has been going on for many years down there in Westchester County. He's got this big poster, this big cloth thing up on his building that says Pedro Espada, President and CEO. It's just like nobody anywhere down there thought maybe there's a conflict of interest there. That's the part of the story that nobody seems to talk about. And then of course Espada is claiming that it's politically motivated, Cuomo's investigation. Well, everything is politically motivated in this day and age, I think. That doesn't mean you're not a scumbag. You could still be a scumbag, thinking even in terms of Massa, of course, his claims that it was politically motivated, but you're still a scumbag. Also in New York State, Bloomberg and down in the city and Patterson are against the property tax relief programs such as STAR that helps alleviate the tax burden on us property owners. They want to eliminate those programs to help balance their budget. Again, stick it to the little guy instead of cutting all of the actual agencies and employees themselves. Also, speaking of sticking it to the little guy, Heritage Foundation has come out with a list of the taxes that are in the health care bill that are supposedly going to make it that term budget neutral and deficit neutral, and it's quite an extensive list. Let's see, we've got 3.4% Medicare tax versus the current 2.9. It's going to go up. There'll be an income surtax on taxpayers earning more than $500,000 a year, which everybody calls that millionaire tax. It's actually $250,000 now. An excise tax on those so-called high-cost Cadillac programs. An excise tax on medical devices such as wheelchairs, breast pumps, syringes for diabetics. A cap on the exclusion of employer-provided health insurance, a limit on itemized deductions for taxpayers with a top income tax rate of greater than 28%, windfall profits tax, I love that term, windfall profits, on health insurance companies, and of course that VAT tax that they've been talking about, the value-added tax, which taxes a product at each stage of production. Paul Volcker recently raised the question of a VAT tax a couple of weeks ago, and President Obama says, "Oh no, we don't want a VAT tax." Yet the Senate made a resolution voting 85-13, a non-binding resolution saying that such a VAT tax would cripple families on fixed incomes and only further push America's economic recovery back. So in spite of the president saying there will be no VAT tax, apparently the Senate sees it coming, and they are preemptively saying we do not want a value-added tax. We also have an excise tax on sugar-sweetened beverages, including non-diet soda and sports drinks. All you Gatorade lovers, you can see an increase on your six-pack of Gatorade. Higher taxes on alcoholic beverages, of course, beer, wine, liquor. Tax on individuals without acceptable health care coverage, as we've heard, 2.5% of your income. And, you know, back to the tax on beer, wine, and spirits. As many of you probably heard, Larry Jones came out this past week urging us to write and email and call our lawmakers regarding this additional soda tax. Again, just sticking it to the average Joe instead of cutting out the 200 and some different departments that our state has. 8% tax on all wages paid by employers that do not provide their employees with health insurance. A limit on contributions to flexible spending accounts, those FSAs that many of us have. They're going to increase the taxes on that. Payroll taxes on students are going to be increased to help pay for this health care reform bill. An extension of Medicare payroll tax to all state and local government employees. Increase in the estate tax. A 5% tax on cosmetic surgery, and similar procedures such as Botox treatments, tummy tucks, and facelifts. Geez, I guess I'm gonna have to postpone my nose job. Just kidding. An increase in the corporate tax on providers of health insurance, and a $500,000 deduction limitation for the compensation paid by health insurance companies to their officers, employees, and directors. So again, those the big insurance CEOs, they don't deserve those bonuses, so they won't get them. Also, in case you don't know, the Bush tax cuts as well are set to expire, and that includes that child tax credit, that nice little child deduction that will be halved because Bush doubled it. So that nice number you used to put in there for each child you had, each dependent, that's going to be cut in half. Also, in more healthcare news, this story came out of England. This guy named Malcolm Drake, he's only 23 years old. He died from Crohn's disease, which is a extremely treatable disease here in America. He went to the hospital several times over December. He had been sick since November. It took him a couple of weeks, even though he was in excruciating pain, to even make it to the doctor. His fiancée said that by December 18th he was getting worse and was deteriorating in front of us. They were doing nothing for him. It was very frustrating, she says. They left the hospital, and this doctor, this young, quite a young doctor, he only had a year's worth of experience in internal medicine, told her that he just needed to go home and exercise, that he had a strained muscle. And she said she sat there in the hospital. He looked like he was dying, but they pushed her out. They said, you're discharged. So she took him home, went back. Let's see, she's got December 8th, December 13th, December 17th, December 22nd. All these times he keeps going back to the emergency room, and they continually send him home. Why? Because they didn't want to perform an MRI, because an MRI is expensive. And this is what you call healthcare rationing. Anyways, he died on December 22nd, and his fiancée came home and found him on the bed. She was visiting family over the Christmas break. So now they've got this inquest. You can have these formal inquests where you can go and I don't know if it's equivalent to suing in America to try to find out what went wrong and how it could have been prevented, if anybody can be held accountable for their actions. He also had a palpable mass in his thigh that the EMTs felt and were very clear about, but this doc again claims that he didn't feel anything. And of course, you can imagine the rush he was in. They said there was no paperwork taken, no notes. So there you go. That's healthcare in England, and we can expect that here. You're listening to the Amy McManus Show on AM 1480 WLEA.
1480 WLEA.